cool, and we go live. All right, citizens of the Reject Nation, you know what to do. As always, let us know if we are live, my friends. It is Coy and I today. We got a lot to talk about, but before we, hop into everything and start breaking things down here and start, kind of chewing the bones and whatnot, just let us know that y'all are here. Let us know that you can see and hear us, because otherwise we'll just be talking into the void, which is fun, but it's not good entertainment for the rest of you guys. So yeah, live, I see it. Jonathan Davidson, wonderful. Nerdy Wave, Che, Jamari Middleton, TS Funk 2005. Awesome to see you all here. I wish we were talking on a more upbeat circumstance. But yeah, before we hop into this, gotta just let you guys know a couple of things. First of all, just a disclaimer for YouTube and for everybody in here viewing. In the discussion that we have today, we are, we're providing an objective report on the details that are out, and probably a little bit of speculation based on that. We are not experts, but we have been following along to a degree, so that while our conversation today may involve mature themes and sensitive subjects and controversial topics, we are committed to presenting this information responsibly, and we are not going to show any explicit footage. Chances are you guys have already seen most of that stuff, and at no point are we going to endorse or promote hate or violence, no matter whose side you maybe find yourself on in this conflict. And yeah, our aim is basically just to go over the details in an informative and hopefully maybe somewhat educational way. And we'll be adhering to YouTube's community guidelines and ensuring a respectful environment for all you guys. So yeah, it's me and Coy today. Due to the schedule, we're just, it's the holidays. Things are getting crazy over here. We have a lot to get done before Christmas, so
because a certain company decided to give us screenings for episodes the day before Christmas Eve, so that's nice.
What? Who could possibly that be, Coy? I don't know who you're talking about.
We all want to work up until the wire. We appreciate it so much.
But yeah, normally this would be like a 10 to 15 minute video, but today we are... Yeah, we're here live because there's less editing and stuff involved overall. We obviously as well don't know as much as the jury knows. We haven't been privy to everything that they had to deliberate over. But we're going to, again, do our best to be, objective and, straight with the facts that are available to us. We don't talk about celebrity trials much here on this channel. We're not a big gossip channel, but since this is... it's Kang. It's a big part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They have, rested so much on Jonathan Majors. So, yeah, it makes... we felt remiss if we didn't at least address this because, people are going to be wondering how this will affect, the film industry, the thing we do talk about, and Marvel in particular, which we talk about a lot. And just in case you're wondering, Greg is not here today because he and his lovely wife are celebrating their anniversary of their wedding. So yeah, it's been a year. They deserve a little bit of a rest, a little bit of a break. This news broke today, and yeah.
And he still worked. He put together a thumbnail.
Still put together a thumbnail and wrangled our,
He did all the calls.
He wrangled us kids.
He's done. He's sitting.
Yeah. So and he's... I mean, what really is happening is
he's avoiding having to
He's
dance
going
around.
out for drinks with, the rest of the Reject Nation. He just doesn't want to do
like,
this,
the
bending over backwards to be
1
respectful.
PM. He's out there enjoying the pub.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to be, part of, a touchy subject discussion today. But yeah, so we're going to get into this. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about, and we want to hear your guys' thoughts as well. So let's go into the main view. Look at that. Whoa, hey, that's us. We're in the little tiny box. But yeah, how's it going, guys? Let us know, first and foremost, what you think of the verdict and of the evidence that you've seen or the details that you have heard. From my understanding today, out of 4 charges, which... the 4 charges were assault, aggravated harassment, and direct harassment stemming from the 911 call made on March 25th regarding Grace Jabari. He pleaded not guilty to all charges, and Jabari alleged that Majors caused her injuries during an altercation in a car. There's no footage from inside the car. We've seen some footage from outside the car, but it's my understanding that today Jonathan Majors was found guilty of assault in the third degree, essentially recklessly causing physical injury, but not necessarily with intent. And then harassment in the second degree. He was found not guilty of assault in the third degree with intent to cause injury.
So it seems to me the intent was the separation between the charges. I'm not a lawyer. Between the charges that,
I'm a lawyer.
actually were found guilty versus not guilty is what I gathered.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the big question here then becomes, the intent, the, premeditated nature of, the actions on trial here. And I don't know. I mean, I guess before we hop into the nitty gritty, what's your feeling on this? I mean, do you have a general just gut sense or assessment?
I think it's really hard because there's no version. There's no reality where we know all the facts, and it's really a difficult thing to assess that, and that's why I think the deliberation went for 5 hours, because it's always, these trials are always really messy with one side trying to make the other look as bad as possible, and that's like the nature of how you do trials, is you try to make you defame someone's character as far as possible, and then you go back and forth. And I think this is a no-win scenario, because now we basically get a woman who will always be known as this and a man who will always be known as this. And regardless of either of their other talents, this is just all of the details that we'd never have otherwise. So I'm glad that it doesn't seem like the premeditated element was seen as guilty. It doesn't seem like this was something that was a thing that anyone wanted to happen. It does seem like, violence did occur. I don't think I see a lot. I mean, the internet's a gross place. I'm pretty vocal.
What do you mean, Coy?
But the fact that you have, people just immediately on one side saying, well, of course he did it, and people on the other side saying, of course he didn't do it because there's footage of him running away from her. We don't know anything. So on one side, there's the audio of him basically comparing her to these really strong, powerful women. That was definitely manipulated aggressively to people like making fun of him for it. And yes, it's a silly thing to say, but he was basically, saying like, I'm a great man, I want a great woman behind me. And then that turned into like people turning him into a monster about a statement that wasn't necessarily true. But again, you try to defame someone as far as possible. Then you've got the footage from running away, so everyone assumes like, well, he couldn't have done anything wrong. Why would he be running? But we don't know if, he's trying to get away from the situation because he realized he did something wrong. We don't know, and we can never know. So this long rant to basically say, what I'm glad of is that he doesn't seem to be someone who premeditated, attacked her. It was something that happened in the throes of a heated argument, and that is what he's been charged with, is something happening in that moment. What I don't love is that, it seems to be an actual act of violence. Like, this is someone who I really respect as an actor, who I, enjoyed the work of quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's always shitty to find out, someone you respect and admire is capable of something that has apparently occurred.
Yeah, and I mean, people in the chat are sounding off right now, basically saying that Marvel has now officially fired him. I'm pulling that up just to verify.
We're seeing.
But yeah, I mean, I certainly believe that would be the next. Yeah, I mean, Discussing Film has it. Marvel. Yeah, Rolling Stone's reporting it. Deadline. Yeah. I wonder if there's a particular statement, but I mean, I guess you certainly would have seen that coming at the very least. And yeah, I mean, this whole thing to me has seemed like a pretty messy situation, because in a different way, this almost reminds me of what happened with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, in the sense that there's clearly, I don't know, there's so much really strong opinionation on both sides of the evidence, and obviously all of us out here, the Johnny Depp trial was majorly, publicized, and we got so many glimpses into that, and there was video and all that stuff. But what seemed to be happening there was, regardless of which side you a lot more of the blame to, you have a situation where it seems like two people are in a toxic situation that isn't good for the either of them. And that's kind of, this is just a subjective opinion, but that's kind of the vibe that I have gotten from this thus far, because it doesn't really, all of the evidence I've heard hasn't really made anybody seem particularly great or shun a light of, innocence directly on anybody. And I mean, I do at least, again, we're just two people at home keeping up with the news or whatever, but it does
And
seem
only reporting on it because of the people that would ask over and over again. I'm not thrilled about this.
no,
This is not where I want to be.
no. I mean, I haven't been sitting here rooting for find him guilty or whatever.
I didn't touch the major. I mean, you bring up Depp and Amber Heard. I intentionally never say anything about that because I think they're both really shitty towards each other. In this case, pun intended. But I don't think, unless this related to what we do cover on the channel, it's any of our business. But this is affecting the business that we do discuss.
Yeah.
But I do think that people want to villainize people. I think people get very excited to feel better than other people, so they like to kick people while they're down. So I think that the Depp Heard instance is a great example of people celebrating awful shit, and I think it's gross.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I find it interesting that there are still a lot of people out there who are, completely on the side of like, oh no, he's completely innocent, he's framed, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of evidence that is kind of strange and hinky that does support some of his side of the story. But to me, just given all the different messages that we've seen, leaked out and whatnot, and the attitudes on display, it certainly seems like there is some level of toxicity and narcissism at work here. Some people in the chat have brought up, some of the abusive behaviors that he has demonstrated in maybe a controlling fashion or whatever, again, through some of these
The text messages were pretty awful to read.
Pretty harsh. And I mean, not going to get into all the nitty-gritty details, but certainly there seemed like a bit of a back and forth in terms of codependency, threats of certain kinds of harm that are not the obvious kinds, and yeah, this seems like a pretty harsh situation all around to me, and I can kind of imagine. I mean, it took, what was it? It was 6 jurors. After 4 hours of deliberation over 3 days, a 6-person jury reached a verdict in the trial. He was accompanied by his attorneys and supported by his now girlfriend, Megan Good. Family members found guilty of 2 of the charges and acquitted of 2 others. So we have till February the 6th to see if he will, be sentenced to jail time, which could be up to 1 year. But yeah, this whole thing has really been kind of harsh and ugly to follow because, again, I do think that there is a bit of zealousness, to pull one of your favorite words, in basically taking any hole in the prosecution side as just proof of complete innocence. And I think that's the tricky and difficult part of any one of these types of situations, is the fact that, to me, I'm sitting here, it's as I said before. To me, this seems like a toxic, ugly situation. These two people maybe shouldn't have been together. I'm sure there were things that drew them together, but, here where we've ended up, it seems like it's brought certain aspects of this person's character to light. And there have been other people, and again, it's all hearsay, we don't know. There have been other people who have corroborated at least some of these manipulative and controlling behaviors from majors. But yeah, the whole thing, I would agree, is disappointing because, I mean, yeah, it's been really fun and enjoyable to watch his star rise. He's a terrific actor, most certainly. I'm very curious to see what happens after this because, again, it's he's going to be let go of Marvel at the very least, but I wonder, with this amount of, doubt in the court of public opinion, whether or not he will be just completely shunned from Hollywood, or whether in a couple of years he'll start popping up in certain things again, a la any number of people who have been sort of canceled out of society. And I mean, that's a good question. Sosa's Guitar, I hope I said your name right. I'll put it to you guys in the chat. After all this is said and done, if he serves whatever time is allotted him, would you be back out there searching out his performances and looking to support his movies, or are you are you sort of done with him from now on? And yes, Larry Reed, I'm glad you're in here for the real important questions. Rebel Moon, we'll have some thoughts on Rebel Moon in a few days. Don't even worry. And I'm curious too, because I've heard it said, and I don't know if this is true, but I've heard it said that the Marvel contract involved a scenario in which only majors could play Kang. But at the same time, now I'm like, if there's a legal cause for dissolution, would they have to stick to that or anything? Because yeah, at least as of deadline, a studio rep has confirmed that they are not going to move forward with majors. So do we get a whole new Kang, or do we do the rumored switch over to a Doctor Doom or something like that?
I think no matter what, this kind of establishes Secret Wars will probably clean up continuity in a stronger way than it might have originally. I think they're already calling Kang Dynasty Avengers 5. I think basically it's going to be. I mean, I think it was always going to kind of be Avengers versus the X-Men. I think now it's going to be Avengers versus the X-Men in a very different way, like a bigger way. I think Deadpool, is not done shooting and might tweak the third act a bit as it goes into Secret Wars. We always knew that Deadpool was going to go directly into Secret Wars. I think now it's going to move certain things up. I think Doom was always going to be the one who took over the Kang. The idea was always, to me, obviously, that it was going to be Kang being a whole phase of Big Bad that Doom easily usurps, and thus making Doom such a powerful villain that you're like, oh my god, he took out the Big Bad. But now I just assume that's going to be a little earlier. I don't think they will recast Kang necessarily. I think Marvel's in a really tricky spot because, Daniel Destin Cretton, Daniel Cretton. It's the D's. I think that is off of Kang Dynasty, which is now Avengers 5, but he is doing Shang-Chi 2. But you've even got things like, Simu having, Achilles surgery. Like, the Marvel Universe has been in a really tricky spot because their number one martial artist got literally Achilles, and then you got, this horrible situation. We've got so many things that have up the 10-year plan. So I think they're in a, how is that spin? I'm giving facts. I don't understand people cheering for anything in this. There's no good here.
Yeah,
but
and it's interesting to look in the chat. I mean, I feel like we typically have a pretty positive comment section here, but I do see a lot of direct support for Jonathan Majors, but moreover some mock like. If we can discourage one thing, I don't want to come in and mom you guys, but let's at least be respectful, even if you don't see any of the validity of what's her name, Grace Jabari. If you don't see any side of her story, everyone's perspective is their own. But let's at least be respectful in here, and let's not fly off on. I saw one comment like, "Oh, you can't be a victim and a strong woman at the same time, and there's only two kinds." Yes, you can, and this whole thing is pretty ugly, and I would at least encourage you guys to entertain the idea that we wouldn't be in this situation completely flippantly. Or at least that's what I hope, and I guess anything can happen, but let's at least be respectful of the moment. And yeah, regardless of whether you think Majors belongs in jail or whether you think he's completely innocent, let's at least let's keep it above the level here in the chat. If you want to go off on some other message board and talk some shit,
there are plenty of people
choice.
making plenty of videos that are all of the inane commentary you want. There are people bought houses off of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. There are plenty of people on YouTube. Go there. It's waiting for you. People are profiting off this. Enjoy those people. Find your gross little pockets, but not here, because that's not what we're doing. We're giving news about a situation that sucks for everyone, and we're talking about how that's going to affect the thing we do talk about on this channel, which is movies. This is the Real Rejects. This isn't the Gossip Channel. This isn't TMZ. We're trying not to be culture vultures. This is the absolute last thing I wanted to do with my Monday. I don't need to read your drivel.
It's okay. I mean, and big love and respect to the guys in here, to all of you guys in here who are, keeping it above the level and being respectful at the very least. And I mean, yeah, if we're gonna sit in here and be like, oh, it's the big looming ghoul of feminism, go home. Like, there's a lot more complication to life than simply that. And I feel like if this was a complete flippant thing, they wouldn't have spent as much time as they have, they wouldn't have spent as much time as they have corroborating things and, the jury that they got had to deliberate quite a bit, from what I understand, and took a good amount of extra time in reviewing the facts of the case. Obviously, they have more facts than we do, so yeah.
I don't care about your opinion.
And
I'm
Eddie
giving my opinion.
Tucker,
You don't matter to me.
right now, he has been found guilty of assault in the 3rd degree and harassment in the 2nd degree. And to clarify once again, that's assault without, it's assault causing reckless injury, but not with the intent to cause injury. The ones he was found not guilty of was the assault in the 3rd degree with intent and another aggravated harassment charge. So, I mean, the situation that happened in this taxi, truck, whatever it is, certainly seems like the most dubious, because, yeah, we'll just never see inside that car. We've had the driver's accounts to deal with, and then, beyond that, we have, surveillance videos from the street. But yeah, this whole thing is I would say nuanced, and it would at least be good to
And I think that's
behave
why
like
the
that.
trial went the way it did. Like, I think the reason that it didn't get all 4 charges is because it's nuanced. I think the reason that it wasn't completely innocent is because there are both sides being to a point at fault. But again, like I said at the top, this is 2 people trying to make the other look as bad as possible because that's the way trials are done.
Yeah, and I mean, again, at least from where I'm sitting, it doesn't seem like anybody is completely innocent here. And I know that from the accounts and from, again, certain conversations we have been privy to, Jonathan Majors, he's clearly got the means to defend his status and his reputation and whatnot. And I don't know, some of these backs and forths, like, yeah, especially that one that's been sort of twisted around of him talking about all the, sort of famous figures that he aspires to be like. I detect a hint of narcissism there, but maybe not. I mean, you got to aim high, but I can also see how this might be a person who isn't completely aware of, the use of his own power and status and whatnot. And I don't know. I mean, here, we can go into some more of the facts here. Testimonials and allegations. During the first 4 days of trial, Jabari testified that Majors injured her while attempting to snatch his phone after seeing a text message, allegedly perhaps from some other woman. And the charges here directly relate to this alleged incident in the car. So, I mean, there's been a lot of other stuff brought to light, and I know that there's debate about what kind of character-based evidence is admissible and or should be taken seriously in a case like this. On the defense and prosecution strategy side, the defense argued that Majors was preventing Jabari from running into traffic, while the prosecution approached the case as your more straight domestic violence situation. The defense questioned Jabari's credibility, suggested she was seeking revenge, which is well documented, especially on message boards and whatnot. John Boyega Tori got brought into the convo and people started talking about recasting Kang.
Yeah, I've seen Zelda, I've seen John Boyega. I was saying,
Yeah.
it'd be great, but I think
Sure.
Wonder Man's still happening.
Oh, I mean, he can be both, why
I
not?
mean, what if the character is a variant of Kang?
Yeah. And I mean, it's I mean, yeah, and people were saying there's literally video of him hurting her at some point, which I've seen the video of him running away from, down many blocks.
Creed 3 training at work.
Which, I mean, yeah, that whole thing seemed like sort of, we're in the midst of some kind of heated altercation, and I just want to get out of this.
But again, that's the thing we don't know details of, right? If you've got someone running away from something, it could be like, I just messed up and I realize it, I'm running away. Or it could be, she's going to do something to me, I need to run away. We weren't there. And that's
Yeah.
what I think is so messy about releasing that footage. And of course, it's TMZ and people like that do it because they want this conversation.
Yeah. And I mean, from the prosecution side, Jabari's attorney, Ross Kramer, has expressed satisfaction with the verdict and highlighted Jabari's courage. The statement hoped the verdict would inspire other victims of assault to come forward. And I mean, this is one of the trickiest things to parse in terms of the law, is these kinds of situations, because so much does come down to he said, she said situations that are only going to be described and nobody has direct account for other than the people involved. So I guess on that note, I would encourage y'all in the chat to at least, be conscientious with your level of commitment to whatever side of this that you have committed to, because I think it's probably foolhardy to assume that just any one of us rando normal people knows intimately what has been going on. And absolutely, Amanda J. Washington for Kang all day. Trial observations. Majors who attended every day of the 2-week trial did not testify and remained, mostly stoic, emotionless, except for during the closing arguments, closing statements. And the defense argued that, Jabari was the aggressor and suggested that she injured herself after revenge partying. There are those videos out of her after the alleged incident, in a bar of some kind. Evidence included surveillance footage and photos. The prosecution's evidence introduced texts and recordings between the two of them alleging a pattern of abuse. The evidence was intended to show Major's character and potential for committing the alleged crimes. And I mean, that's the thing about this case for me. And yes, I believe the writer's strike and the actor's strike are both over. They have voted, right? Like
it got ratified, so it's done.
Yeah,
like we are up until 2.5 years from now. We're working.
So everyone's back to work. Everyone's good.
And this is the longest, I think, into the holidays we've worked because of it. I think we're gonna come back quicker. Like usually, LA shuts down for 2 weeks.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's a thing for me. This last bit that we just read, the evidence that they introduced, intended to show a potential for, the capability of committing these acts and whatnot. And I mean, that's the thing. I don't know exactly. None of us do what happened that day. But it does seem like the potential for this to be a toxic relationship was there. And certain of those behaviors, while maybe not all illegal, certainly don't ring very well. So I don't know. That has been a lot of my inspiration to kind of keep an arm's length from any solid, I don't know, from choosing a side too heavily. Yeah. Because again, it's like there's a lot of, and from what I've heard about the actual proceedings, beyond the information that we know, there's certainly strange and hinky details regarding Jabari's story. There are strange and hinky details regarding Major's story. I gotta feel like some tangible thing exists in the middle of that, even if it's not exactly what we're seeing or hearing at the moment. I hesitate to say, but where there's smoke, there could be fire. And in the Manhattan DA's statement, the district attorney Alvin Bragg emphasized the trial's focus on survivor-centered justice and the pattern of abuse and coercion identified in Major's case. And I mean, that's something, again, looking at some of those text messages about like, oh, don't worry, I'm not going to tell people, about what really happened or whatever, or, I'm going to downplay whatever this, injury was and whatnot. Like those things certainly read like codependency and not wanting to anger somebody that you might be a bit afraid of. And I mean, and people are saying like, this isn't to say, again, I brought up Johnny Depp and Amber Heard partly because, this guy says she was clearly grabbing him and she even took his phone and hit him with it and wouldn't let him leave. I don't know. And that's the thing is I brought up Johnny Depp and Amber Heard partly because that situation certainly seemed to me, given everything, like even if you have your opinions about who is more of the innocent or the aggressor in that situation, it seems like abuses happened back and forth either way. So, you can be in a situation where, maybe she was attacking him that particular day, but it also seems like there's more to it than just Jonathan Majors has a severely abusive girlfriend. You know what I mean? No, I'm not trying to victim blame at all. I'm just trying to say that we are not there for all the details. And certainly I am the kind of person, if you want like transparency, I am the kind of person who, is more inclined to side with a survivor, somebody in Jabari's position, certainly. However, again, you look at looking at the Amber Heard trial. That's somebody who, at first, I might have been inclined to be like, well, I'm until her account is proven otherwise, I'm kind of suspect of the other side. But also that went to show us that two people and what the thing is, life isn't cut and dry. Two people can have abuses toward each other.
And you and I are both like Johnny Depp fans. Like we both, I mean, like Hunter S. Thompson era Johnny Depp is
Sure.
like so formative to my movie going experience, and Hunter's absolutely a literary hero of mine. But I think it's important to look past the hero on screen and look at the evidence as best you can. And again, that's what's hard about this is asking 70% of the chat what they think is they make decisions not based off any actual evidence because we don't have enough evidence. You have to go with what you do have, which wasn't much. Obviously, you know, it does look like there was violence, and that is what you have to look at, not at how you perceive the person.
And if she said that he never attacked her before this incident in court, then that's good to know. I mean, being attacked at any point is probably not good. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, clearly, we're not all going to agree in this chat, but you know, I appreciate y'all weighing in at the very least. And we do have a couple of super chats. Let's jump over there real quick and see what y'all have to say in there. Isn't this just the most fun way to start the week?
If it wasn't
Coy?
Greg's anniversary and he didn't ask me, dude, there's no way. This is like the DMV. This is just the word. Like, I don't know
Aw,
why.
dude.
Like, I love you,
I love you, Coy.
and I love
the DMV.
10 to 12% of people here.
I love the DMV. Well, let's jump into the direct thoughts of y'all, the peeps. And let's enlarge this window so it's the right size. There we go. Alrighty. All right. Thank you guys again for showing up and for contributing and just, you know, for airing out your thoughts and bearing with us as we talk about this awkward, difficult, weird situation that none of us civilians are actually qualified to be commenting on. But yeah, let's see. Somebody asked, why do you guys think this happens at the height of someone's career? Well, I mean, that's in a lot of general situations. I would just say that for some people, it's really hard to watch somebody who may have caused you this distress and pain rise to the top and be hoisted onto a platform and be celebrated and adored by so many people. You know, I don't know. There's so much made about the time in which things get reported, and it's one of the most unique and horrific kinds of experiences you can report to anybody and share with people. So
To be as transparent as possible, I think on one side it's someone hoping that the reach will get actual awareness brought to something, if that's the case, whether that's them being duplicitous or them being like, I need to get out of this, so I need to make it public because something horrible happened, either one of those things, or it's because there's a lot of pressure when you're doing well. Like, there's a lot of pressure when you're doing 18-hour days and you're having to do all of this press and you're running around, and maybe that's when you snap. So either it's because of someone thinking this is the best time to get awareness on something, or it's something to deal with someone's mental state because of pressure. It kind of makes sense to happen at the height of something for a lot of reasons. Pressure makes diamonds, but it also makes explosions. So it makes sense.
especially if you're, if you are living some kind of life in which you are trying to conceal and or crush down, or maybe you're not even fully aware of your behavior. Yeah, like when you're at the pinnacle and you have all these opportunities, like that's a stressful life. That's a lot going on, like you said, but also people get sloppy, people slip up, all sorts of things can happen. And I mean, the more you have to lose, I gotta imagine, the more tense and sort of, I don't know, I think that can do things to your mindset, when you have so many things to manage and you've got a status and you have, risen to such a place. I think people are often fearful of losing that, obviously. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting chatter going on in the chat, but let's see what the supers have to say. Stefan, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on the funnest day of the year. Hey guys, I listened to the live stream playbacks on my night shifts. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, John, Coy, and Greg, for everything you do. Love you all and happy holidays. Love you, and that's amazing. We got our podcast that we listen to on late nights, and if we can do that for any of you guys, I mean, that's that makes me happy.
Hopefully they're more fun than
that's
this
a
one
honor.
normally, and I appreciate that. I'm
Yeah,
glad we can get you through your shifts.
You're here
This
for
is
this
not
one
the one
in
that
real
maybe
time.
is,
Yeah. Don't worry. Next shift will be much nicer. Isaiah Macias. I hope Marvel Studios, and thank you for contributing. Especially again, this isn't the most like upbeat, reason to jump in the chat, but I very much appreciate you chiming in. I hope Marvel Studios simply has Jonathan Majors state a public apology and have him remain as Kang, since he is found guilty of 2 unintentional charges. And I mean, I'm very curious to see what becomes of this, if he does do jail time, because yeah, I mean, at least again, as of the verdict, they convicted him only of the non-premeditated versions of this. I mean, which is its own kind of trouble. Arguably, ideally, everybody should have enough self-control, to try and not find yourself in a situation like this. But everybody's different. I don't foresee this happening, quite honestly, because again, the details of the case are so heavily debated, and this is just going to follow him for the time being anyway. And the trouble is that his star, I think, rose in a way that when he was announced, as Kang, I feel like that's people had seen Lovecraft Country. People had been buzzing about this guy. But when he became Kang, I have to think that that's when most of the broad swath of the populace kind of found out who this guy is. And, having him, having this person tied so specifically to this brand, this universe, this character, I feel like it would be hard to go about it this way, doing some kind of apology and then letting him continue on. I don't know if this necessarily means that his acting career is over after whatever time gets served or after whatever
I don't think he'll
for.
serve time because of the charges that actually were guilty. I honestly think maybe probation. Personally,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't. I mean, obviously, Marvel's already fired him, but he hadn't at this point. This is like our second super chat, so this was not through yet. But he doesn't work for Marvel anymore. That said, with these charges, I don't think, personally, I don't think it'd be jail time. We'll see.
Yeah, I would be, I guess, somewhat surprised. But yeah, I feel like it's probably going to be kind of starting from scratch. And who knows what kind of public image rehab he's going to have to do. Because, too, with Marvel and everything, I mean, he has, certainly been the subject of just more and more and more of those kinds of fun interviews and like, oh, here's 10 things I can't live without. Like his star has risen, but also just his status as a public personality.
Yeah, his own
risen.
personality, and it's always hard again when someone that you respect in both the public persona and character persona. Like, I really enjoyed Jonathan Majors' interviews. I really enjoyed his worldview, his perspective, all those things, and that definitely colored my experience of the trials. But as someone who has the responsibility of knowing that people are listening to my opinion, whether they're immediately judging it or not, I'm aware that my experience of Jonathan Majors made me want this to be innocent. And that's why it's so hard, because you come with all of your preconceived notions of what this person is, that you have to hope the judge and jury are capable of separating that, how much exposure they have to him. Like, not most people, we're on a movie chat right now. If you're in here, you are on a movie chat. Most people, the average person, especially probably in a jury, has not watched hours of someone's interviews. So it's really hard when you do care about this actor, if you care about their talent, you care about their work, to have any sort of removal of that when judging a legal situation. So it is a mess. And I don't think the charges will turn to jail time, but I do think this is obviously a giant shift in public perception that Marvel is dancing now.
Yeah, and everybody in the chat has also been asking about what about Ezra Miller, which is always a fair point. Yeah, I mean, Ezra Miller certainly should have been dealt with in a different way than they were. I don't know, it's weird because it's like Ezra Miller has way more alleged, crimes under their belt, and none of... Yeah, I don't know. There's no real good reason why, Ezra Miller should remain and, Majors should not or whatever,
But Ezra's not still Flash. I think that, I don't know if people are assuming that he is. Like, that's not a...
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know. it is both two really messy public trials, but other than that, I don't know where things landed with the Ezra Miller trial. Like, I don't know where they are with all of that right now, so it's not really. I don't know. I don't have enough data.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, and no more, no more Flash for Ezra, and two, I do think it's that thing of like all these. I think there is a hypocrisy, I guess, in the court of public opinion and the way it interacts with business. Because if you look at the rap sheet of alleged crimes from Ezra Miller, some of them border on this territory, but there's nothing as cut and dry as like, oh, you're this kind of abuser. I feel like it would have been much more swift in that sense if that had been the case. Again, trying to dance around some of these more sensitive issues because YouTube is sensitive. But yeah, MC No Light. MC No Light, I'm sorry, but this is pure bullshit. Appreciate your opinion. Appreciate you jumping in. I mean, I won't say that there's nothing can be debated about this, but I don't know. I don't know if I would say bullshit, but to each their own, I suppose. Coiler Hair, thank you for chiming in on the chat. The text telling her don't go to the hospital due to the fact that he can't come to what she says sealed his fate. I mean, if I'm reading this correctly, I mean, sure, that's not really a good look if you're, that's max of trying to control the situation yourself, and that sort of leads you to think that, oh, maybe there is some kind of, guilt at hand.
I do think the making it seem like a pattern, not a single incident, was what made this a different trial. I think the incident in the car is obviously what this trial was about, but the text from months earlier, basically saying, don't go to the hospital, they'll ask too many questions, shows some level of repeat problem. So it's not. I again, everyone on both sides of this seems like it's been a real mess. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Same. I was there. Just kidding. I know all this stuff. Masqueriz. If they fire, thank you, by the way. If they fire Jonathan Majors, then surely they will just keep Kang and have a variant that doesn't look like Majors. I'm very curious. I don't know the exact details of the contract. I have heard it said once that he had some kind of stipulation in there that only he could play Kang. And I've been curious about that this whole time, because there obviously have been certain characters in the MCU, in the multiverse, that we have seen portrayed by multiple actors, Loki certainly being one of them. Again, I don't know if some kind of intervening legal circumstance like this kind of renders that null and void, because, I guess I would imagine, and I'm not a contract law expert, but I would imagine that, part of any contract rides on you being in good standing with the law. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, certainly that seems like the easiest thing to do, and like the multiverse would give you an easy out in that sense. But
I don't know if it even makes sense. To be honest, the way they're navigating the MCU now is lots of damage control. Like, if you look at what they're doing with Captain America 4, adding 6 months of reshoots, which is effectively a new movie. If you look at what they're doing with allowing Deadpool to be the only movie next year to give people time to recalibrate and downtime for fans, to me it looks like Phase 6 is damage control, and the second half of Phase 5 is buttoning up as much as you can. It doesn't, to me, make sense to keep the character of Kang. The way Loki ended allows for that to be the end of Kang in a way. I do think it's a bummer for Doom as a character to not have the same impactful opening of taking over the big bad, because I don't think that would make sense. It also doesn't really make sense to have the impact work if you have a recast Kang be taken out by Doom, because then you're just like, we just met that guy. Like, whether or not it's Kang, you're still going to perceive an actor as playing him, as a new actor playing him, so you will have just met him. I also don't think that they handled Kang that well in Ant-Man. So we've had really good Kang in the periphery. Not everyone watches Loki. Everyone that watches the MCU movies don't watch the shows. So the one MCU movie we've had of Kang wasn't the best debut as is. Like his scenes were great, but the movie wasn't, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Kang does go on. I think that might be why Destin Daniel Cretton left. I think that he had a plan with as planned MCU, and when that changed, he was like, "All right, let's Avengers 5. You guys do your thing. I'm gonna make Shang-Chi 2 sooner now. Yay!" I honestly think that you find a new way to introduce Doom. You lean on the impact of the character, and I don't know if I'd touch Kang again.
Yeah, because the trouble is,
Majors made Kang. Like that's the trouble is like Majors is so charismatic and so talented. That's what made Kang. I don't know if the character.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Because people are so tied to his name, and it catapulted him into such stardom. Certainly past all the buzz that already existed. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think. Sorry, I'm also being distracted by scrolling through stuff. But I think that's a really solid point, basically. That he's so associated with the character now that I don't think people would be able to not talk about it if Kang is around, at least for a long time.
If they bring in a new Iron Man that gets taken out in one movie, you're not going to suddenly go like, "Oh, I love Iron Man." You're going to go like, "Where's Downey? Also, what happened? Oh, that fake Iron Man's gone." It'll just feel like it'll feel desperate, I think.
We're going to run through the rest of these super chats, but we're probably going to wrap things up in about 15, 20 minutes, people, unless anything crazy happens. But Galaghost, Andres, good to see you, bud. Thank you for joining in the chat. Hey, guys, unfortunate news on many ends, but great seeing you both here. Love the positive energy you guys bring. Wish you happy holidays, and cheers. Thank you, bud. Appreciate you being here, and I wish it was on a better circumstance, a nicer occasion, but it's always a nice occasion to see your face.
Yeah.
So appreciate that.
Enjoy
very
being
much.
town, man. I'm jealous.
Extreme Viper 99, thank you for chiming in. Hey, Coy, John, and Greg, just want to say you guys inspire me so much. Real Rejects have got me through a hard year. Love you all. Thanks for the laughs, lads. Absolutely.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. It's my favorite content, helps me through tough times. And times always seem to be tricky. So that means a lot. Nate Saunders, kind of disappointed. Thought he was a great actor. Absolutely. The whole thing is disappointing. I'm sad. The whole thing makes me sad. I don't know. Like it's sad that any of this had to be the case. Whatever the truth of the matter is beyond what we know. Yeah, I don't understand anybody who's like getting glee out of this situation. But Extreme Viper 99, thank you for chiming back in. Also, have an amazing Christmas, guys, and New Year. Same to you. Same to all of you. Can't believe that we are already, what day is it today? It's the 18th. We got like...
It's a week till Christmas, man. A week from today.
What do you guys want for
the
Christmas? Leave us what you want for Christmas in the chat. King Tut, if this has taught us anything, when you are famous, thank you for contributing, by the way. Stay away from them crazy white girls. I know Coy feel what I'm saying. I don't know about John. I mean, I love all kinds of people, man. So, but I'll be sure to stay away from white girls from now on. Although I don't know what ethnicity is that name, Jabari. Like, let's dig deeper. Maybe I don't know. White people of all stripes are crazy in their way.
People are messy, and
I'm a crazy white girl.
That's true. I've seen it. That's real.
Yeah, that's how we do over here. Luis Feliciano. Thank you, by the way. What if Season 2 is hinting at Thanos coming back? Could it be possible that Thanos returns? Not just What If, but also the Avengers Disneyland ride has been hinting at Thanos.
I do think we get Thanos in Secret Wars in some way. And maybe that's a way to show the power of Doom, right? Maybe instead of Doom taking out Kang, it takes out Thanos easily. Maybe there's some way to leverage our emotional connection to how great Thanos was for 2 acts in the second and third act, growing into 3 acts, as a way to make that impact. So that could be absolutely a way to do it. But I do think we get Thanos at least a little bit in one of the Secret Wars.
Absolute vodka. Mick Pringle, thank you for being here. Once you pop, the fun does not stop, especially with you. Hey, dudes, glad I could finally make it to a stream. Wish it was under better circumstances. You and us both all three.
Yep.
Do you guys think recasting or replacement is more likely? Thanks for all that y'all do. Love from Jersey. Love to Jersey. Say what's up to Miss Marvel. Yeah, I mean we've trodden this territory over the stream a fair amount. It seems like just pivoting to a different character is the most likely scenario.
I just think it's cleaner, and I think, as I said a few minutes ago, but I think that the amount of retroactive tweaks is already pretty high, so I don't think they'd want to dig that hole any deeper with this Phase 5 going into Phase 6. I think they're trying to streamline and clean up things.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and they've got so many things to clean up.
And they have so many characters we've only seen once.
One nerdy perspective. Thank you so much
Great
for being here and sharing your perspective. I thoroughly enjoy it when Koi says what we all want to.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
You are the
know,
voice of the people. Koi.
I just have a lot
remains in
of
jail.
opinions, and you guys help those come out for better or worse.
And all the in between. Corey M., thank you for being here. Thank you for chiming in. Very glad the victim got justice she deserved. Hoping the best for her. Absolutely. Majors needs to seek help and hopefully become a better person. Also true. I mean, I'm not going to. The continual disclaimer, we don't know these people, but I mean, I guess the hope is always that through this difficult and highly debatable scenario, hopefully these people at least have some cause to look inward and
I hope
grow from the experience.
I hope both parties find whatever next phase of their life to be better than this one, because these people have been in court for months and obviously dealt with a really toxic relationship before the trial. So I hope both of them find their next chapter of life so much happier than this one.
Absolutely. And, I mean, it's about growing and what's the word? These kinds of things, yes, punishments are doled out, but, you also hope that rehabilitation or growth is also part of the process, not just like, damn, I'm bummed that I got punished, MC No Light. Those 2022 messages are heavily redacted, no context at all given, not denying he was manipulative and narcissistic, but using those messages when they don't even pertain to this case is dangerous. And that's a situation in which, like, I'm looking forward to the Legal Eagle video on this.
I learned who that was recently.
Sure.
That was a good journey for me.
Yay.
Greg told me all about the S Snipers. That's right.
Oh, Sniper
and the legal,
Wolf.
and the legal of all that. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Attorneys at law.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I get what you're saying, and I know a lot of people have brought this up, and I know that for this particular case, they were using a fair amount of character-based evidence to, support the idea of whether or not this person would be capable of these actions. I don't really know enough to comment on the rules of that. Alls I know is it certainly does paint a certain character light. And I could see how that would be relevant to a situation like this. I could see how you might take issue with that as well. So I don't really have a solid retort here. Fair point. Brandon Jed, John and Coy can be the new Kang variants. Thank you for your vote of confidence. I think we would do a great job. I think we're what the people want, Replace this guy with two white guys.
Two of them. And they're like, Kang, like we're like two halves.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
You can sit on my shoulders and we'll wear a trench coat.
It's the only way it'll be as big as Majors. Big
Absolutely.
guy.
I mean, you're getting there.
It's true. It's true. Working on it.
Michelle, thank you for being here, and appreciate. Hey, we're doing our best. I'm sure there are more reputable news sites, for keeping in the loop with. But yeah, appreciate you being here, and I hope that we're able to at least, bring some relevant perspective on this to your day. Straw Wild, appreciate you very much for being here. I appreciate the community you've cultivated. Thank you. I do too. I feel like, especially in a live stream, you get every kind of opinion, but generally, I often feel like we have a very positive and a very upbeat comment section and just community in general.
I like more of Reject Nation than I don't.
Absolute vodka. The good guy, the DA needs to be investigated. There's been too many cases of this nature, and the others are suing for what they've done in the past. That's good to know. I'm sure that anybody who is delivered a verdict, is going to, try and appeal, or, if they don't feel like they have been served justice, try and get some kind of alternate ruling or whatever. But if that's the case, I mean, I would have to look into this particular district attorney. I don't know much about them, but that's alarming if true. Alex Leif, appreciate you being here. Famous man breaks up with woman then levels assault accusations against man. I wonder when I've heard this story before. Did they break up and then she leveled the accusations? That wasn't my understanding of this. But I mean, I don't know, if you want to view these things as petty, I guess that's going to be your choice, and I probably will not dissuade you from it. I personally don't see these kinds of situations as, the kind you would want to get into flippantly. But
I'm glad
that's
you
just me.
understand nuance. I think it's important you look at everything as black and white, because that's how the world is. And that's a healthy outlook. And I'm sure things will go well for you. Always. I'm going to go to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just going to help. I was going to give you a second there.
Aiden Wagland. His "I am a great man" rant is so arrogant and shows how out of touch he is. Also love the vids. And Coy, I unabashedly love your Twitter takes and how you tell people off when they're bitter about it. Yeah, the great man rant is an interesting one. And I mean, certainly
It didn't bother me nearly as much as it bothered a lot of people. Like, when you actually listen to it as opposed to reading the transcription of it, he was, I mean, obviously, an actor
I have
thinking
not
of
heard
himself as Martin Luther King is a bold statement, but the statement itself was about him saying he is put in the limelight, he is someone that is leading, and he is someone that is under a lot of pressure, and as a great man, he needs a great woman. And in transcription, again, aggressively naive. But anyone in the public eye, anyone under a lot of pressure, wants someone supporting them. Again, I don't think that calling someone Martin Luther King as, like, a peer is a logical thing to do. But I do understand saying, like, hey, I am under a lot of pressure. I need someone behind me. I just do think that it's a very manipulative tactic on both parties.
I'm under a lot of pressure. I'm striving for greatness.
Yeah,
and I need
I'm
someone to
representing people, and I'm trying to do my best. Again, I don't know what led up to that conversation or what happened after that conversation. All I'm saying is that the actual rant itself bothered me a bit less, but I'm also arrogant as fuck, so I get it. And thank you. I'm trying to, for my own mental health, use Twitter less, but I appreciate that. And there will be times I'm at 30K. When I want to get to 40K, I'll go on tirades again. And for now, though, I'm going to try to find peace, which is not happening today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would have to. I need to hear the actual audio, I guess.
It changes a lot.
And too, even on the transcript, it's in the amalgamation that it becomes telltale to me, because it's like I get it, and I understand that a lot of people in this position have to have a high opinion of themselves, and enough that they will, push and see their goals through and all that stuff, and build the kind of life that he's trying to build. So like in isolation, I don't begrudge that.
Right.
So much. Jeff Carroll, got a few from you. Let's see how far we are. Okay, we're almost to the end here. So I'm going to close off the super chats, and we're going to read the final few here, and then we will let y'all get on about your day. Let's see. Real quick, because we got to blow everything up. Here we go. But thank you guys for being here, and for the most part being, respectful and constructive with your thoughts and feelings. We do appreciate y'all being here, and for, again, if we didn't have y'all to chat to and to bounce all this stuff off of, we wouldn't have a stream at all. So appreciate y'all for keeping us on track. And okay, let's get back to it. Let's read the last of the supers here. We do have a fair amount, more than I expected today, which is nice, which is lovely. Appreciate y'all again for just being so supportive. Again, despite how kind of icky all of this has been. Let's see. Okay, so we were on Jeff Carroll, 1 of 3. MCU is a tough situation that Kang is so important, and so much groundwork has been laid that it doesn't seem smart to abandon the character. But they also might feel it's safer to have a clean slate, either to avoid controversy, not confuse casual fans, or move in a different direction. hope for the best for the MCU. If recast, my pick is Lakeith Stanfield. All love, unrelated, but Percy Jackson in 2 days. Can't wait. I've been hearing a lot of great things about the Percy Jackson TV, Disney streaming series, whatever that is. And yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. This is going to be a tough. Either way, this is going to be tough for Marvel pivoting and adjusting to this. And yeah, it seems like they have put down a lot of track under the Kang train. But yeah, I mean, certainly to avoid controversy, I gotta believe they're going to have to go in a different direction because. I think it'll be way too distracting.
I personally agree. I also think that the track they put under him is a bit rocky. There's track, but they also have that post-credit scene that shows all of the majors as Kang, so it's hard to do if you're considering. And all people talk about is post-credit scenes. They don't actually talk about the movie. So if one of the most important moments being a post-credit scene is the 2 minutes where all of them are majors, how do you have that? And then also the messiness of the storyline and the way Loki ended allows for it to end. So I think it's a good move to end the Kang arc. But I also think I don't know. What was the last thing? Sorry. Lakeith. Lakeith is my brother Voodoo, man. I think Lakeith's energy
cool.
is he's got this mysticism to him. Like there's this undercurrent of like he's got this knowledge that like he knows something. And after Haunted Mansion especially, I feel like he'd be such a good brother Voodoo. So that's where he is for me.
That sounds beautiful. Thank you, Jeff Carroll, for chiming in. I'll take any Lakeith appearance in the MCU or otherwise. The Orange Pill Nurse, thank you for chiming in. The same media outlets that villainized him and misrepresented the facts from the case, Variety, will do an article on his comeback years from now. Watch.
You guys know my thoughts on Variety.
Yeah.
And that's only because they did used to be a trusted source. Like I really like Variety. 7 years ago and earlier, they're clickbait like anybody else now. I mean, if you work on the internet, you got to appeal to the worst of society.
That's fair.
That's why we're here on a Monday.
That's what we do. Extreme Viper 99, Kang, next time, baby. And he's going to be in Armor Wars now. They're going to recast Rhodey with Jonathan Majors. Nate Feliciano, thank you, Viper, as well. Hey, Coy and John, Nate Feliciano, thank you for being here. Love y'all and all you do. How would you guys feel as John Boyega as Kang? I mean, I love John Boyega. I will take any John Boyega in the MCU that I can get. I think in the chat, people have said that he has been shutting that down on social media. But
I mean, if I was treated like that by Disney, I'm working for Disney again.
Yeah.
Like, he literally had a character and built an arc. And I mean, I was shocked that Oscar Isaac came back. He would never come back in Star Wars, I don't think. I mean, he even said as much. Perry asked him if he'd ever come back in the Disney Plus show, and he was like, nope. So I think he came back for Moon Knight because the story worked and he got to have a little bit more control. But if I was John Boyega, I wouldn't work for Disney again.
Nope. Got a ghost. Thank you for chiming back in, Andres. I will say it here first. All the Kangs introduced so far are Skrulls posing as variants of Kang. Wink. I think that would be a very
just tons
funny.
and tons of like that. They reshoot the post credit scene and then like they use the frame they use, but then just like they all turn into Skrulls.
Yeah, and then Nick Fury walks out and he's like, "See, I delivered on my promise.
I found you a home,
you a place to live." And now you just got to show up dressed as this guy sometimes. Emmanuel Rodriguez, thank you for chiming in. The Jonathan Majors situation is very unfortunate and messed up. Marvel just have to break everything down and rebuild at this point. I don't know. They're already in a position where they need to kind of do maintenance while driving the car. So, I mean, there's other stuff, I think. Like, the thing is, if they were in a great place storytelling-wise, I would be more concerned. But thus far, I mean, other than the portent that Jonathan Majors as Kang is going to be a significant part of the next, 2 phases, these, multiverse saga phases, yeah, I mean, I feel like they have... It is an unfortunate situation, and I feel like they're already rebuilding themselves anyway. So,
while
ways,
it's messy, I would just, yeah.
Yeah, and they've been sitting on this for months watching this. They've had other problems to deal with. Shavai D, thank you for being here, for chiming in. Marvel really screwed themselves with the Quantumania post-credit scene and having Kang play every single variant. Also, I love watching you guys. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure anybody who's not, as plugged in, but who's stuck around for that post-credit scene will be certainly maybe taken aback when they never see this character again. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Hey, Dan V900, thanks for chiming in. Appreciate seeing you as well. Oh, and somebody sent their first super. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's been a few of those.
Kiersey Clemens is really good in Dope and great in Hearts Beat Loud. In Monarch, it's the writing and directing where she's charismatic and can sing. She's just a bland hacker, and it stinks. This is a random...
Out of nowhere, Dan V900.
Out of nowhere, but thanks for keeping up with... I don't know if you've been keeping up with our Monarch reactions. It certainly has felt as though Kiersey Clemens is doing everything she can to carry the script that they have given her character. Those 3 leads on that show, man. Like, I don't really blame the actors at all. Just like the way they're written is so tedious.
Is it rough?
It's tedious, man. It's
Oh.
weird. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff about it. People really love the show.
Okay.
There's fun stuff about it. I like watching it, but I do think that it's one of those shows you watch where you're sort of taken aback by how much people are like, "This is great," because you're like these. And in the reviews for the episodes, we've bent over backwards to basically address that. Like, yeah, people aren't coming to any Godzilla thing, or they typically aren't for character drama. But at the
Godzilla -1, they can.
But in the age of Godzilla -1, they can. And also just, looking at this, I'm like, oh, there's so many other storylines where, like, the tone and everything comes together in a way that works. And this beat with Kiersey Clemens of the 3 present-day timeline leads is, I think, the best performer. Like, she's always doing great work, but, like, it's always a matter of when the script backs her up, and only on, like, episode 7 have I felt that way so
And
far.
Kiersey is exceptional in Dope and Hearts Beat Loud. Kiersey's fantastic.
Absolutely.
I got a lot of love for her. So, yeah, thank you for that. Just a little interstitial.
And all 5 seconds of The Flash that she was in.
Yeah.
Ghost, I want a Fight Club reaction for Christmas. I don't know, man. You never know. It might happen. You just keep your eyes peeled, bud.
It might be just me lurking in the corner watching him watch it. Because I've seen
Yeah.
it so many times and just being like, hey, did you catch that?
After this, we're going to go fight each other out back.
What do you know about yourself? You've never been in a fight.
Bucky Barnes. I mean, that's a fair question. See, that's one of those fascinating movies where I'm like, I get how this is part of the, easy to misinterpret starter pack, easy to, like, if you're idolizing this, you maybe got the wrong message starter pack.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's because there are certain details and philosophies where you are like, well, but that in isolation or that as a jumping off point is fair.
It's almost like art should be nuanced. Much like life.
I don't think so, Coy.
We should black and white
Tell
this.
me what
we
I
should
think,
very much
Coy.
think this is one or the other thing. Nothing in the middle.
Nope, never nuance. Smash the like button, says Bucky Barnes ATL. Give it up for Bucky Barnes, always holding it down, moderating the chat. Smash the like button like Coy smashes the weights. Look at that, hugging those biceps.
Get after it, you lovelies. I'm very excited for a little time off for gym. Just consuming
time off to
calories.
go to
Just
the
going to
gym.
the gym. Just gains and can't wait. I'm just gonna eat and go to the gym. I'm
spoonfuls.
just like it's gonna be. I only have like a week. I have like 6 days where we're not scheduled, and it's usually like 2 weeks. But those 6 days, 2-a-days.
Absolutely,
Very excited about it.
Love it. Love that. You're gonna be just like you're just gonna be a little tiny head on just a big old pile
Just
of
want
muscles.
to come back
eventually.
as a cumulus cloud in 2024. Just want to reemerge.
I love that. Cumulus Koi. Jason Fischel, happy holidays to you and to you two and your family. Happy holidays to you and yours as well. Appreciate you chiming in. Thank you for the support. Happy it is the holiday season. As dour as the subject matter of this stream is, it is the holidays, and it's nice to have you all here. Mareko Schmidt Uili. Crazy. Thank you for chiming in. Crazy to think that they had Major's termination papers on standby. Oh, you bet. I mean, they've had so many months to draft those up. They just had somebody on verdict day sitting with a pen and the shredder. Which way are we going? Yeah.
So dark.
But
Do not envy anyone in this situation.
no. Marley Morgan, thank you for jumping in. I kind of wanted Iron Lad. Well, you never know. This could still happen. Maybe they'll do like a Little Man thing where they CGI Robert Downey Jr.'s head onto a tiny body.
Iron Land turns out to be Kang.
But in this version,
Oh,
he
okay.
can't
I'm
be
just letting you know.
Kang
I'm just letting you
Coy.
know that.
All right.
Well, Downey's not coming back either, so we're not getting either Iron
You never know.
Laddie.
You never know.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
care how many times Kevin Feige and
He's
the
like,
gang are
"Guys,
like,
stop."
we're not going to mess up the Iron Man arc. I'm like, well, what do you do now?
Don't do it.
But hey, who knows? Maybe that'll be the way to introduce Kang later down the line, a bunch later.
Phase 19.
Phase 19, Iron Lad shows up, different face. Or maybe Jonathan Majors is completely changed by then and he's back. Who knows? Pavel, thank you for being here. Greetings from Poland. Love you guys. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Thank you for tuning in. What time is it in Poland? It's got to be at least in the evening or middle of the day. It's got to be
Middle of
the
day
evening
for us.
Yeah, so it's got to be the evening for you. Shivai D, thank you for joining in. Koi can read our minds. Love from South Africa. Damn, Poland and South Africa in the chat.
Is that
That's
the
awesome.
Rand? Is that those? So I went to South Africa for a few weeks back in the day, and I still have some. I think they're called Rand, the South African currency. I stayed in Cape Town and then went out into the desert about 5 hours out of Cape Town for Africa Burn. Had myself a lovely time at Africa Burn. But the whiskey and the meat pies and the vovacinos. The vovacino is like a chocolate coffee smoothie. Is my favorite food. Like vovacinos in Cape Town. Much love to South Africa.
Boogie. Also, it's Marcus, Nicolas Cage's Kang. Nicholas Kang. But yeah, Shivai, thank you for chiming in. That's so cool. God, South Africa, Poland, that's awesome. Dylan Walker, thank you for joining and chiming are the two words I tried to say at the same time. Will this be another roadie situation in terms of seamless transition?
Nigeria, Australia.
Just
giving
dude.
some love. Didn't interrupt, but that's exciting.
Absolutely, not bad. Oh, it's so cool. That's one of my favorite things, is just seeing
the
global map of viewership, and the Reject Nation is broad.
It is.
I love
it feels
that.
good.
Dylan Walker, will this be another roadie situation in terms of seamless transition of characters? This one man was entire citadel. How can we disconnect?
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking, Dylan. It's not quite the same. I mean, there's that one great line of dialogue from Don Cheadle saying, like, "I'm here, it's me, get over it. Like, just deal with it," I think he says. And I thought that was such a genius way to handle a recasting. I don't know if they can do that with a citadel of one man playing a character across time and universes. He's also conquered time, and I feel like they were trying to make that him fighting himself, and the power of Major's acting really made that a man versus man story. I honestly don't see how Kang could be someone else.
Yeah, unfortunately. Thierry Ngoyi, I hope I probably butchered your name there. I'm sorry, but thank you for being here. Jada Pinkett is Kang. Let's be positive he'll recover. Oh golly. In an alternate universe where they're about to release Scary Movie 6, I'm sure that would happen.
Jada Pinkett is Kang.
And then
Scary
she
Movie
literally
6.
shows up as Kang in Scary Movie 6.
And the press tour would just be hearing about Tupac. I would just be like, all right, we get it. You want to tell us how close you were to Tupac, and I believe some of this.
She's still close to him. He's still alive.
It's true. He's out in Vegas.
Elvis is not dead.
Him
he
and
just
Elvis
went home.
He's vibing.
MC No Light, thank you for once again chiming in. Very generous today. Apologies if I came off as brash, being an AA man in America. This just hit me a bit emotional. Thank you guys, and hope you both have a great holiday. AA.
African American.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I mean too, there is that. Like, and I know that certainly African American men are often subject to these situations where you're portrayed as violent or something along those lines. And I mean, I guess I can't pretend that there's not any of that involved in this situation. I guess I wouldn't be of the mind to just attribute all of this to that right now. But absolutely, like I don't take issue with people being emotional over this, because it is a bummer. It is a messy situation. It does seem it seems at least a bit tricky to feel like you have a cut and dried answer. And so at the very least, I mean, yeah, aside from the people being blatantly disrespectful, yeah, like I can't blame you or take away from you being emotional about this and any kind of heated feelings that might come from that, because it is, I don't know, these things also force us to look around at systems in society, look at ourselves, look at, people we know, they're very human situations.
And it does suck that this character that was so well played by Jonathan Majors is going to be either dropped or retooled. And either way, that's a mess. And I can't imagine, you know, the people that are in the chat going like, well, yeah, when, you know, an African American man calls the cops and then he's the one that gets in trouble, like that sucks that there's an example of that. Whether or not this is justice, which I don't know. It does suck. There's another example of that. So this case or the case that's going to happen in 5 minutes or the time that, you know, someone else is assaulted by a cop in the next 36 seconds is shitty. And I'm sorry you have to deal with that.
Absolutely. And finally, thank you again, MC No Light, seriously, and for, you know, being patient and being at least open to the discourse that we've had here, you know, and not being flippant. Yeah. Oh, goodness, that chat. Anyway, yeah, appreciate you very much. And Strong with the Force closing us out with a high five. Appreciate you very much for the sticker, for just showing a little bit of support, and for showing up in the chat today. Guys, this has been a fascinating turn of events. I'm sure there will be more, you know, details or more discussion and whatnot, and we have a couple months or like a month and a half now to wait until they actually decide what the verdict will be, or not the verdict, but like what the sentencing will be. So, you know, this isn't over yet, but it has, yeah, been a tricky and difficult topic of discussion and a sad thing to watch unfold, certainly. And I think we all wish we lived on the timeline where this wasn't the case and we didn't even have to talk about this. But yeah, he has been found guilty of 2 counts, and again, the reckless kind, not the premeditated kind, which is, you know, I think of note, certainly. And, you know, we'll just have to wait and see what the rest of the MCU shapes up into, because they have officially let him go. It has been officially announced. So, yeah. We'll see. That's all I can say. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for, you know, showing your support, sounding off, letting us know your opinions, and for the most part, being genial and respectful of each other and of us. Yeah. Goodness gracious.
Let's go do not this.
Let's go do something else. Aisha Kenya, Walter Chinchilla, thank you guys for being here. Andres Seha, incredibly good-looking You Googleizer, quoting one of my favorite comedies, Zoolander.
You've seen that, but not Fight Club.
Brandon Poole.
I love Zoolander, but I'm just saying. So
Bucky
Knight's Tale, though.
I finally saw A Knight's Tale.
Important to me.
Yeah, and oh, dude, absolutely, Bucky. Thank you for being a part of our universe and for holding these chats down. Very much appreciate you. Guys, just, yeah, be good to each other. Be good people, as Dead Meat would say.
If we don't see you before then in live, because we probably won't be saying on every, you know, filmed and edited video, have a great holiday, whatever you celebrate, whatever you don't celebrate. If you don't celebrate anything, enjoy the time off. If you celebrate everything, enjoy all that booze. And if you're sober, enjoy all that time with your family. And if your family's not here, enjoy the found family you've made and have. And if you don't particularly like people, enjoy the quiet. But I hope you have a good downtime, and I'm very much looking forward to it myself. I'm especially aggravated that this is the time that people think I'm shilling for Marvel when I couldn't be madder at them sending us screeners on the holidays. And yeah, I'm not thrilled about any of this happening, but we hope that we at least informed some of the more complicated details of the situation. And if you are someone who is in a horrible environment and this case notwithstanding, whether or not you believe this case went the right way or the wrong way, if you're in a relationship that's unhealthy and you should feel safe, hopefully you can find a way safely to get out of it. And I don't want people villainizing this man or this woman to affect how you perceive men or women of any ilk, and how you perceive the judicial process, how you perceive how you are being treated in life. So if you're not being treated well, get out of that situation however you can safely. And if you are the type of person that was leaving the comments that we were dealing with, therapy. Because you're probably treating other people as shitty as you are treating us. So just, you know, take care of yourselves, love one another, and have a great holiday. I appreciate most of you very much.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, guys. Be well, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.